Ladies and gentlemen, One Piece chapter 1119 is out. I missed last week because I was kind of swarmed with work, but we're right back where we left off with a crazy chapter. A lot of cool stuff that I want to talk about, so let's just hop right into it. So first I want to talk about this pretty cool Stussy and Kaku scene. I know a lot of people kind of think stuff like this, right? This like needless characterization in the middle of a very climactic point in the arc is unnecessary. I could not disagree more, right? I will always prefer like characterization moments and stuff like this, dialogue that pushes characters forward, even if it's taking up panel space for like a fight or something like that. I think maybe it's just my personal preference. I live for that stuff. And seeing Kaku kind of get a taste of what our Water 7 friends felt when he betrayed them, in now having this conversation with Stussy, betraying him, I think is really cool. It's cool to see the human side of these characters that have been portrayed as monsters, literally with their devil fruits portrayed as monsters. I live for stuff like this. It's really cool. And even though Stussy and Kaku are not characters we're entirely invested in, I felt this, right? This conversation was heavy, and I think Oda is really good at doing stuff like that. I wish he would do more of stuff like this, right? These dialogue between characters that are maybe not as necessary to the arc, but they still have this powerful connection. I want more of it. I thought it was really cool. Now let's get to this viral Bonnie Nika discussion that I missed with last week's chapter and the controversy that came with it. Does Bonnie becoming Nika make sense? Yes. Is it cheesy, Luffy giving his powers to someone like Black Clover Syndrome, people are calling it? No. Do I like this happening this early? Also no. I think a lot of people's complaints with this are it doesn't make sense, or it's like Luffy giving his power to people. To those people, if you don't like it for that reason, I think you should reread some of the story. You're missing a lot of explanation. To the people who don't like it because it feels out of place, maybe a little early for Bonnie's character, I agree with you. I think that when a character joins the Straw Hats, there needs to be a character arc for them, right? Let's take Nico Robin, for example. Water 7 and Enies Lobby had a character arc for her, realizing that she has a place in this world, and it is okay to kind of give her friends a burden if it means they want to protect her, right? But her character arc then, after she joins the Straw Hats, does not end. She still wants to discover the secret of the world. She still wants to understand what the scholars at Ohara were trying to find. Every Straw Hat has something like that. A mini character arc where they join the crew, and then a larger character arc that, extends through the whole story. This is the exact same reason I did not want Yamato to join the Straw Hats in Wano, because she did not have a long-term character arc, and her short-term character arc was literally, her goal was literally just to join the Straw Hats, and that was it, right? She didn't have any room for character development at all, right? And I think, Oda knew that, obviously, and, has kept her in Wano before she joins the Straw Hats, if she even will, which is good. But the same thing goes for Bonnie in this Egghead Island arc. I think it was established from the very beginning of this arc, or even from the Kuma flashback, that Bonnie's goal here was always to either find Nika or prove that Nika is real, or become Nika, stuff like that, right? Finding the freedom that her dad described. That, and also getting revenge on Vegapunk for her father, or saving her father, right? These are the only character goals that were established for Bonnie. Now, not only has she realized Vegapunk is not the one she needed to take revenge on, not only has she kind of saved her father, right? Although I do think Kuma is going to die, they've had their reunion and Kuma is safe on the boat with her. Not only that, she has now become Nika already, right? So what has gone from, or what was originally Bonnie set up to join the Straw Hats in probably the most likely manner like ever out of any character, right? There was people saying there's no way she doesn't become a Straw Hat. I was saying that. I have now regressed to sort of, she has now in one arc accomplished everything that she established she wanted to complete at the beginning of Egghead arc in this chapter, right? So now it doesn't feel like there's any room for her to grow or room for her to have a purpose in the Straw Hats. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just yapping. Maybe it's okay to have a cool character join the Straw Hats just because they're cool. Personally, I like seeing character moments and stuff like that. And I just, after this chapter, don't think there's any room for that for Bonnie. So is she going to join? Is she going to not join? I don't know. I would rather see her join like the revolutionaries or something like that, just like her father, but I guess only time will tell for that one. Now we get to the scene where Luffy, Sanji, Bonnie, and Frankie are launching one of the Gorosei members into orbit because, you know, they cannot kill him, so they need to just get rid of him physically. I've said it, I think, in the last 7 videos, so I'm not going to harp on it for too long, but the Gorosei being the final, at least seemingly final villains in the story, being treated like cartoon characters, does not sit well with me. I love the goofiness of Gear 5. I just don't think that should extend to the presence a villain brings on screen, right? These are the last straw for the world government. These are the penultimate villains of the Straw Hats. To see them introduced in this arc and then fail completely to accomplish their task, in my opinion, is kind of belittling what I would be excited for as a challenge for the Straw Hats. Yeah, that, and also the hockey again in this chapter. This is something I've also said a million times, so I'm going to try not to rant about it too much, but the portrayal of hockey in this chapter was weird, right? Because Oda's drawing it for the people knocking Luffy to hit the Gorosei member, but then all of a sudden Frankie has hockey, which we didn't think he had hockey. Bonnie has hockey, which we hadn't seen yet, but I guess that makes sense. But Oda is going out of his way to draw the hockey and even tell us, or through Luffy's dialogue, oh, you're using hockey, it hurts. But then the entire, you know, last 50 chapters of this arc, we've heard like literally no explanation of how hockey interacts with the Gorosei. Luffy hasn't used Advanced Conqueror's hockey. Zoro wasn't using it against the Seraphim, right? Like, so to see the re-entrance of hockey into the story after the complete abandonment of it previously is a little shocking to me. I also want to talk about Vegapunk's message cutting back in, which no one expected, I don't think, after the last chapter or the previous chapter. I'm really not sure what the context for his words are here. We don't really know how many words are in between the cut points, right? This could be literally sentences past what he was last saying, or it could be directly connected to what he was last saying. Without that context, it's kind of hard to understand what he's getting at. Regardless, there is some kind of knowledge that he has about the D-Clan that we don't know yet, right? The knowledge of the D-Clan has always been kind of interpretive for the fans of the One Piece, you know, series, right? Like, we've kind of known what it is, but, like, there are very specifics we don't understand, but we kind of get the gist of it. I think he was going to say something shocking, right? There's no reason Oda would cut out things we already really know. So, again, I want to reiterate what I said last chapter review. This is the mention of, like, a traitor or a chosen one or something along those lines. I think what he was going to say is very important. It's not just, you know, water under the bridge. It was actually, you know, some pretty shocking information. Also, one quick note before we get to the end of this chapter. I do think we see Gorosei members in the water in this chapter. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's kind of hard to tell with the double spreads, but either the giant worm or the boar were touching the water when they were trying to reach the ship, which, if it wasn't confirmed already, for me, hard confirms that they are not devil fruit users and they are some kind of ancient species or borrowing power from Emu or something along those lines. I could not tell you what they are, but I wanted to say I think this chapter was the final confirmation for me that they are not devil fruit users. And lastly, the name of the chapter, Emeth, comes from this line of dialogue from the Iron Giant. Listen up, Emeth, the time is at hand. I'm going to go out and say that this is the first original Joy Boy dialogue in the entire series, right? Unless you count when Robin was reading the poneglyph of Joy Boy's words, which I don't really think counts. This is literal quotation marks around words that I think were spoken from Joy Boy, which is crazy. The reason I say this is obviously because the robot has been like, you know, Joy Boy, where are you, Joy Boy? All arc, right? He's obviously related to Joy Boy somehow, and he is remembering dialogue in these final moments where he's coming to protect the new Joy Boy, right? So I don't really understand what this dialogue means, but it's definitely some kind of flashback to orders or like final words that Joy Boy told whoever's in this robot to either prepare for the future or understand like what's going to happen in the future with like the next coming of Joy Boy. The time is at hand to protect Luffy or the new Joy Boy or something like that, right? Either way, whatever the intentions were behind these words, I think it's the first time we got to see Joy Boy talk in the whole series. And unfortunately, we have a break next week, so we do have a lot of time to decipher what Emeth is or who Emeth is. But regardless, we are closer to Elbaf than ever. I just saw the anime episode last week actually animate more of Elbaf than we have ever seen. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic arc. I cannot wait, but we do have to wait an extra week for the next chapter, so until next time.